Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Sam. It's really a pleasure to be here tonight. As Sam mentioned, this is our fourth T-minus, and it's really awesome to have this simultaneously with IAC, which is kind of the spiritual home of HEO and many other space companies. So thank you again, all coming tonight from all corners of the world. I am Crowe, CEO and co-founder of HEO. My co-founder, Haranya, our CTO, has already cut his finger tonight, so no need to break a leg. And at HEO, we're here to make space transparent. So I think a lot of you in this room know that space is transparent. You can see right through it. It's one of the beauties of it. But the distances involved are so vast. It's such a huge volume of space. So really, when we say make space transparent, we don't mean make the invisible even more invisible. We mean you just got to get really close to stuff. Get up close, cozy, and then take some images. And that's what we do here at HEO. Primarily, we work using our software and our partners' hardware, typically Earth observation companies. And when we fly past objects that we care about, we'll take images of those objects, do some analysis on them, and then provide reports in those images through to our customers. As you'll see tonight, we also build our own hardware. And there are reasons for that, and that's important to get more of this data through, because we believe that in order to get humanity into space, getting this data is really critical. So let's go forward. Just so everyone knows, HEO's mission is to image anything in the solar system on demand. Not everything, just anything. So at HEO today, we're primarily imaging satellites and space debris, so man-made objects that are flying in Earth orbit, sorry. And we're getting a lot better at it over time. So I'm actually embarrassed to show you the photo on the left. That's an image that we took in 2023 of the Chinese space station. This was from a very far distance, over 150 kilometers, maybe closer to 200 kilometers. So very far away, very fuzzy image. You're able to make out some details of the space station. And we're able to see the comings and goings of different spacecraft as they docked with the Chinese space station and see it get constructed. But not a great image. So we have a scale at HEO from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being a great image. And that one from April 13, 2023 was a 5. Next up, we have 2024. So we'd taken different sensors on, we'd applied different software techniques, and we'd gotten better at imaging at this time. So you can see there's a lot more definition. We can see which way the solar panels are facing. We can see what's docked more clearly. We can even start to make out some of the materials on the space station. So this is what we would call a 7 at HEO. And typically, images of 7 and above is what we're trying to get through to our customers. But this has got a lot of great information that our customers can use. But in 2025, this year, we got damn good at imaging. And part of this is using our partners well, using our partners that happen to have satellites that are passing really close to those objects that we care about, using advanced imaging modes, using advanced techniques to try and get more meaning out of those images. And you can see on the right-hand side is a 10-plus image of the Chinese space station. So you can see exactly what vehicles are docked. You can actually see the docking ports and the interfaces between vehicles. You can see the robotic arm and the articulations of the robotic arm there. You can exactly see which way the solar panels are facing, all of them. And you can almost make out the writing on the side. And something I'd love to see in space, just like we see on vessels in the ocean or on aircraft, is every single satellite to have a alphanumeric code on the side so we can identify them all the better. But just a dream at this stage. So we're getting way better at imaging here at HEO, and what this means is we can give way more insights through to our customers, so we're super excited about that. This wouldn't be possible without our partners. So as I mentioned earlier in the night, We apply our software with our partners' fantastic hardware, and the idea is to layer as many of these satellite constellations together as possible. Typically, these are Earth observation satellites. They're typically all at a similar altitude, and so pairing together multiple companies allows us to cover as much altitude as possible. So we've got 5 partners that we're calling out tonight. Many of them are in this room. So I know we've got Axel Space over here. Thank you for coming. We've got Satellogic down here. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, please clap Axel Space, thank you. Satellogic down here. Woo! I don't think we have Black Sky, do we? Oh, we do, oh, Black Sky, woo! Do we have, we don't have Sidus, do we? No, okay, we don't have Sidus. They're working on their next mission. And Impulse as well. I don't think Impulse is here tonight either. Oh, oh yeah, Jean-Philippe. How could I forget? I'm so sorry. So hand that up. Yeah. No, thank you everyone for coming tonight. It's honestly a real pleasure to have you here. So really, HEO is using these satellites during their downtime. So over the ocean, over the polar regions, these satellites aren't used as much as they are over land and other high valley regions of the Earth. So pairing our mission together with theirs is a really fantastic collaboration. And what it does, it really allows us to bring the lowest cost through to our partners, to our customers, sorry. And the other thing to mention is that this is a numbers game. The more satellites you have in more orbits with more opportunities to fly past the objects that we care about, that's when we get that critical information through to our customers. So really important that you're all here tonight, and thank you for partnering with us. And there's more to come that we'll be announcing over the next few weeks, which we're really excited about. So, non-Earth imaging, NEI today. Non-Earth imaging is what I just described. We fly past with a satellite. That satellite has a camera, and it takes photos of the object that we care about as we fly past. So where are we at today? Well, as I said, it is a numbers game. I don't think we're anywhere close to what we need to achieve, but HEO just happens to be the company that's taken the most NEI out of what we believe any organization in the history of humankind. So is that applause? Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, right? That's cool. So we've had 4,000 successful missions to date, and a mission is just one of those fly pasts, and we might take multiple images as we pass by. So 4,000 missions, tens of thousands of images associated with those missions, and we can feed them into AI training data sets and start to build up an intelligence layer that we can use and support our customers. With the number of satellites launching today, there aren't enough humans to do the job that a group of engineers would have to do to correct an anomaly on a satellite anymore. So using these AI tools and using automation tools are really critical for our customers. From those 4,000 images, they've been taken of 800 plus individual satellites. So this ranges from Starlink to Kuiper to various national security satellites. So whole range of satellites. Everything's pretty bespoke. Everything's solar panels and a bus, but a lot of different varieties of spacecraft out of there. So this has been really exciting to build up this data set. And as I said, biggest data set in the world, and I think we're just getting started. We've also really expanded who we reach in terms of geographic coverage. So when we began, this was around 18 months ago, we're only servicing 4 different nations. Well, we've already expanded that to 30 plus nations today. So, woo! Yeah. So really starting with the closest allies and partners, but really we want to roll this out to as many parts of the Earth as we can. And continue on our mission to make space transparent. So, yeah, fantastic to be servicing these geographies or starting to reach out to these geographies and help serve them. But I think there's a long way to go here. but this is a great start. I wanted to cover quickly what we do today, what we share with our customers. So most of our customers today are government customers, and I wanted to share a little bit about how we help them. Some of these images you would have seen before, but I'll cover them again. So on our left-hand side, we have what we Australians call ZY3 or ZY3 for the North Americans in the room. And this is a satellite that's undergone an anomalous event. So it has a broken solar panel, essentially. We identified the satellite as ZY3. It was already correctly identified in the catalog, so we added more information and suggested that, yes, indeed, that's the satellite in question. We're able to see some of its capability as well, though. So firstly, we saw the busted panel. We saw some of the imaging payloads that it has on board. We're also able to see that the payloads have been stowed away safely potentially after the anomaly was observed. So identification and then understanding the capability of the satellite, important. And over time, it can change as well. So it's important to revisit these satellites over time too. In the middle here, we have a Starlink satellite for which we've done a bunch of monitoring and pattern of life on behalf of government customers. So very interesting constellation. They're moving around all the time, very dynamic, and really causing regulators a bit of a headache. But with our images, we can start to make some sense out of it and work through what some of those pattern of life behaviors are. Last thing I want to mention, our image on the right is of Resource P1, which is a Russian satellite. There were some accusations last year it kind of broke apart suddenly, and there was limited understanding of what that break apart might be. So a few people said, well, maybe the Russians sent an anti-satellite weapon up and tested it and blew up their own satellite. Well, at HEO, we already had some images of this satellite. So we'd seen that the solar panels were already not latched out. So that means there were already errors with the satellite. We're able to image it again post kind of break apart. And then we saw it was in two massive chunks. And that indicated that it was a fuel tank or fuel cell that had combusted and broken the satellite apart. So we're able to say, look, due to transparency, there's nothing here to see, or very unlikely that this was due to some kind of malfeasance. And it looks like it was a genuine error. It definitely leads to some of the passivation techniques that we look for in the space community. But at least there was no foul play involved. So that's really critical as well. Transparency leads to trust. We think that's something really important, especially in this time when there's a lot of geopolitical tensions around the world. So this is a little bit of a video. What we do is we take these series of two-dimensional images, and then it's of a 3D object. So we wanted the gold standard is to reconstruct this three-dimensional object. And we create these three-dimensional objects for as many of the objects as we can that we image. Some, there's already some public information about them. Others, there's errors on board the satellite, like in this example, or there's no information at all on the satellite or object in question. So as you can see, we start with images. They can be really rough. Sometimes a quick image is not a high-definition image, but then we build up an understanding of what that satellite is over time. So after a few images, we're able to see the solar panel that was not correctly deployed. We're able to see its payloads and then make some assumptions that it was an optical payload. And then we're also able to see that those payloads have been stowed away. The last thing we're able to observe is that this was in a rotation state, indicating that the satellite was no longer in operation, and in fact, the operator had lost control of this satellite. Whatever we couldn't fill in with our own images, we're able to fill in the blanks with some publicly available information. And then we have a three-dimensional representation of a series of two-dimensional images. Now, I don't think I need to tell you, the reason this is important is what's in the catalogs, what's in on the internet isn't always true. So it's really important that we watch the watches and understand what might be at play here. The other thing that we've noticed after many images at HEO is that people, when they suffer failures on their spacecraft, don't necessarily like to tell the world about it. So yeah, yeah, figuring out what's at play is really critical, we believe. So that's the current state of play. I wanted to talk to you next about coverage. So our customers should not need to know where their satellites are relative to our observation satellites, the satellites that we have access to. They should just be able to press a button, log on, get the images that they need, and get on with their jobs. So that's what we're on a mission to do here at HEO. And our coverage has been expanding quite rapidly. So we started out in the year 2022. We started coverage a little earlier than that. But in 2022, we had 5% coverage. So we had 2 different satellite constellations under contract at that time, Axel Space and Satellogic. We didn't have full control over everything yet. We're still working out the software techniques. And then in 2023, we expanded that dramatically, and we jumped from 5 to 17% coverage. So we're able to start turning satellites up, looking upwards, looking to the side, and we're starting to track satellites and get higher definition images doing that as well. In 2024, we jumped to 32% coverage. We added black sky to the constellation, thank you, sir. And we're able to keep adding to the repertoire of different software techniques that we had at our disposal. And then it jumps to 2025, and we're able to increase using software techniques again, as well as bring on Impulse as a supplier and start to take more images using cameras that we built by ourselves. And we jumped to 40% coverage of LEO at that point. When I say coverage, I mean percentage of requests that come to us from our customers. So that's how we define coverage here at HEO. So turns out there's actually not enough cameras being built that are space grade worldwide. There's a worldwide shortage of these cameras. So at HEO, we saw this coming 5 years ago, and we started to build these cameras right here in Australia. The final assembly happens 5 kilometers down the road in Botany. And our hardworking hardware team is iterating fast. So we now have 6 Holmes Mark 1s in orbit today. Massive congrats. Woo! And we also have one of our Adlers in orbit as well, and we'll talk about Adler a little bit soon. Holmes and Adler, for those, if you know, you know. So Holmes Mark 1 was a great workhorse, low-cost camera, built specifically for non-Earth imagery, and really a great piece of hardware, fully built in Australia. Pretty much everything from the chip up was built here, which was really fantastic, mainly for COVID purposes to begin with, but turned out being a really great kind of geopolitical move as well, which is awesome. We decided that wasn't good enough though, so our hardware team's been hard at work, and earlier this year we announced the Holmes Mark II. So it's on your right. I'll point out a couple of things. There's a lot of great features. Our hardware team's going to be around later tonight, and I think there's a Holmes Mark II on display, is that right? Yes. There's a Holmes Mark II on display, so you can ask more questions about it. But the first thing I want to point out is that we took off all the outer casing. So it means we're able to make the aperture bigger, camera's able to see more, able to see smaller things as well. So that was really exciting. Next thing we did was added a lot of cosmic shielding to it, so it's radiation tolerant. So this thing can go to much higher altitudes, including the high part of LEO and potentially GEO, and take a battering and still work with a 5-year design life. Last thing I'll mention is you don't see many screws on this one. So removing fasteners was a big part of our team's job, and they did a great job of it. So every fastener is a potential stressor point and can degrade the quality of the optics. So the team removed as many of those as they could. and did a fine job of it. So I don't know how many fasteners are on the Mark II. Any? 10, 15, down from 100. So we're 10 to 15% of the initial number. So huge achievement. Again, built largely here in Australia. I think now we have a couple of imported parts, but largely built here in Australia and primarily here in New South Wales as well, which is really exciting. We have the first Holmes Mark II launching later this year with one of our partners. And can we announce that yet? No, we cannot announce that. All right. Good thing we checked. Okay. Expect that soon. Okay. So we built these cameras for ourselves. Something we didn't expect is that our customers would reach out to us and say, hey, we want to buy the camera and attach it to our spacecraft, and we want to own the system end to end. And by the way, we also want your software, so you don't even get a look in at what we're looking at. And we said, well, that's fine. These are allied governments, trusted governments, and we shouldn't need to know exactly what they're looking at. Things can be very sensitive sometimes. So we've started working with a bunch of different companies that are building satellites and looking into adding our payloads to those satellites. So what's really interesting about this is at HEO, we know this is a numbers game, refer to earlier slides. And we also know that getting the lowest cost possible is really important. So the best way forward for our customers is to have as many of these cameras on as many of the satellites as they own as possible. So the great thing about non-Earth imaging, it can be done during the times when Earth observation is not being done, when communications isn't happening. So it really makes sense to match these two missions together. So we can add our camera and our software suite to a satellite, and you can get 2 missions for the price of 1 plus 5%, 5 to 10%. So really, it's a small increase in cost, but a huge unlocking capability. So this is something that we're working on at the moment with our partners, as I said, and definitely getting a lot of interest from our government customers. So it's something that we're continuing to progress towards. Oh, yeah, you can clap. You can clap. It's pretty good. So we're pulling on more partners. We've already got some great partners. We're doing more software to unlock more capability from our partner satellites. We're adding our cameras onto other people's satellites that wouldn't typically have cameras. And the other thing I'll mention, they're going to orbits that Earth observation satellites wouldn't currently be at. So we currently have range up to around 700 kilometers, but this will help us unlock 700 to 1,200 kilometers. And this is where a lot of critical assets are at, and there's a lot of tensions due to the things being launched at those altitudes. I can announce that we're the first ever commercial company to get NOAA approval to go to these altitudes with an optical payload. Now, because we're the first, there are a lot of restrictions associated with it, and it was a big headache for our regulators, as well as for us, but we got there, so thank you. But yeah, huge, huge unlock for our customers, which we're really excited about. We can potentially get us up to 58% coverage of LEO. When it comes to GEO, you want an Adler. There's an Adler on display tonight. This is the first time we're unveiling the Adler Mark II, which we're incredibly excited about. How many fasteners are on this one? Real question. 12. Okay, great. So there's even fewer than Holmes Mark II. Adler wins again. Okay. So again, we're able to increase that aperture. We're able to take off the surrounding panels. We're able to make it all black, which is just cool. Yeah. Additional electronics capability. It can take up to 100 frames. God, I should know this. 100 frames per second? Yeah, a lot. It can do a lot. So really capable camera and optimized for the GEO mission. So please, again, we've got a display model, and please ask our hardware team about this. We've got some, oh, thank you, yes. The other thing I'll mention about GEO, it's a little bit of a different orbit to LEO or low Earth orbit where we operate today. So first off, low Earth orbit is up to 1,200 kilometers. GEO is 35,000 kilometers away. So looking up from Earth is really difficult, and getting an understanding of what's happening at those altitudes is really challenging. And there's these times called solar exclusion where it's really hard to see what's happening, and there's some kind of cat and mouse games going up there. So all of our customers have been asking us to get to GEO for a long time, and we're finally going there soon, but we'll have some different imaging modes. So what we're going to do is head up to, with our partners, to these monitoring orbits. So these are slip orbits a few hundred kilometers above or below GEO, and this is where we'll sit most of the time. And then during times of need, we'll be able to go into these larger orbits here, these patrol orbits that can patrol a section of GEO. And we can also go into an inspection orbit around a specific spacecraft, so we can look at both that spacecraft as well as the neighborhood around it. So all critical stuff for our partners, and hopefully this works. And we're headed up there next year, which is really incredible. Thank you. So planning for Q3 26, and we're looking to have GEO active in January 2027. And you can book right now. So we've got an email for it. We've already had customers that have bought into this, which is really incredible, and we really appreciate their support here. And you can email GEO, that's GEO, @heospace.com. And your email will be responded to. But yeah, our customers, as I said, have been asking for this for a really long time. So we're really happy to finally be able to unlock that. And more announcements will be happening about that over the next few months. This is the last thing I wanted to talk about today. So, little known story, when HEO started, we had no idea that this technology, non-Earth imagery, was already a thing. We just thought we were geniuses. Turns out the US government's been doing this for 5 decades, and sharing that information with allies and partners. So we got lucky, and we were able to bring something new to the picture, more images, different automation, AI techniques, which is fantastic. A commercial is coming at this problem from a standing start. So in commercial, when something wrong happened to a satellite, they either just threw the satellite away, or they made the satellite so complex and threw PhDs at the problem to really identify what was happening. So that's no longer possible. When we're talking about constellations of thousands of satellites, there aren't actually enough PhDs in the world. So we've run out of PhDs, guys. And really, we've got to think about new ways to solve these problems. And throwing away satellites is no good either. There are great images of a farmer in New South Wales who had a piece of SpaceX debris jackknife into the ground 300 meters from his front door, and thankfully didn't hit them. But we also just can't keep frivolously throwing away satellites as well. So there's got to be a different way forward. And we thought it would be several years before our customers identified this as being a solution, and we're just a startup, so we're like, how can we influence their behaviors? Fortunately, they did it themselves. So they started using our services. Our services are built for intelligence and defense customers, but they use them for commercial purposes. And really the point here is doing not just inspection, but maintenance, and thinking about satellites holistically, just like we think about aircraft or Navy vessels or car fleets or train fleets. We don't build these systems either throwing the train away when it stops working, just pushing it off the track. We don't do that. We also don't gold plate an aircraft so it lasts forever. We maintain them and we inspect them regularly. And we expect breaks to occur, and we expect to be able to fix them. I think in space we pretended that we didn't need to do that, and we could for a while. The technology wasn't ready. Well, now it is. Now we can inspect satellites in space, and we can, when your satellite fails, there is a way to see that it has failed. so you can no longer hide. But this is exciting as well. This is an opportunity for us to come together as an industry and find a new way to do things. So today our customers are just using our images, and then they're using their software, so their ability to update their satellite on the fly, and using our information as well as their ability to do moderate activity on their satellites. They're using our images to impact how they service their satellites and keep them healthy. So in this example, we've identified a satellite that's rotating. So from this, we're able to see rotation rate and also rotation direction, and able to help a company detumble their satellite. In this case, we've got a satellite in safe mode. So understanding if a satellite's in safe mode helps an operator understand if they can get it back on, get it back working, what the issue might be. This last example, we've got a satellite with a solar panel that has not deployed correctly. And using our data, they know if they can do like some kind of whiz-bang technique to try and push that solar panel out. So all of these were possible before, but they weren't able to know if they were doing the right thing. And we've already helped a bunch of companies with all of these use cases correct their satellites and get their mission back on track. So we're really grateful for our customers. Hopefully one day they'll let us identify them and tell everyone publicly. But we've got to break that trend. It's okay if your satellite fails. It's happening to everyone, trust me. So a lot of our customers were saying, well, it's all well and good, in some use cases, we can use our software and update the satellite and get our mission back on track. But what happens if the satellite's really broken? I mean, on Earth with your aircraft analogy, Will, you get a maintenance person or a robot to fix that aircraft, and your analog doesn't work anymore in space. Well, turns out there are other great companies in space that are doing the maintenance part. So pairing maintenance and inspection and maintenance together, we can solve a vast majority of these problems. We were really excited this morning to announce a deeper partnership with Astroscale, who are they in the room? Thank you, Astroscale, thank you. Sure. So fellow companies that we're partnering together, and we're seeing this future, and we're saying, actually, it's not good enough to let satellites fail in space and add to this debris problem. So partnering inspection with maintenance together, we can solve a lot more of these issues. There's a long way to go, but we're going to solve these together. So we've just got 2 examples that we've already worked with in partnership with Astroscale today. So we've got verification of tumble rate. And this allows a partner like Astroscale to approach the satellite, potentially share rotation, and then detumble the object or work with it whilst in rotation mode. The second one is getting a high resolution image of the space debris in question that you might want to remove from orbit. So really grabbing it with a robotic arm and removing the debris is the only way to do that realistically. But making sure that that structure is intact, and making sure when you grab it, it stays intact, that's really important. And that's where pairing inspection and maintenance really makes sense. So again, we really appreciate this partnership with Astroscale. We're going to keep working together, and we're going to really solve this problem of space debris and operating satellites in a more efficient way. And by the way, it's going to be positive for everyone's bottom line. So we can't wait to put that in place for our customers. Well, I've been talking for a long time, so I might stop it there. Oh, and another thing. Remember when we said we'll image anything in the solar system on demand? Well, we mean it. So we've been interested in asteroids for a long time. Those that know our history, that's actually how we began. Yeah, woo! And something that really concerns us to this day is that there've actually only been 16 missions in all of human history of satellites going up and engaging more closely with an asteroid. Well, we're here to fix that. So Something that we wanted to mention is that there are actually a lot of asteroids passing really close to Earth, like crazy close, so sometimes within the geo belt. Just last year, there were 4 asteroids that passed close enough that a satellite in geo, or near geo, with a camera could potentially use a little bit of fuel that it would need to use anyway to get to graveyard orbit. But instead of going to graveyard orbit, it could instead pass by an asteroid that happened to be floating past at exactly the right time. And these asteroids are large enough, so 19 meters and larger, such that we could get a lot of detailed information about them and really make sense of them and really think about using that information for resource extraction or scientific discovery or more. And that's what we're looking to do at HEO. So as you know, we're already putting our cameras on satellites going to geo. These satellites already have power and already need to go to graveyard orbit at some point. And now we have an additional mission for these satellites to do at the end of their life and characterize these asteroids. Over the next 10 years, we expect 30 or more asteroids of this size or larger to come really close to the geo belt so we can do this kind of mission. So really improve the data set or 3x it over the next decade at least. And we've got a really good one coming by really soon in 4 years, Apophis. So this is an asteroid that's over 300 meters in size. We used to think that it was going to come and collide with Earth and kill off a city of people or something. Fortunately, it's not going to do that, but it's coming really crazy close. And this is an opportunity that's too good to miss. So we're going to be going past this asteroid in 2029, which we're incredibly excited about. And all using a GEO satellite at the end of its life. This is a little diagram with the orbital dynamics. So this is actually a elliptical orbit, not a circular one. And as you can see, we're passing by Apophis there. And we'll just end with this one. So again, you can't quite see it here because I'm standing in front of it. My apologies. But asteroids at heospace.com. We'd love to partner with scientific organizations or other organizations looking to learn more about asteroids. And we're really excited about this mission set, and we're doing it. Okay, well, we'll end it there. This has been a real pleasure. Thanks to all our partners who've been here, our friends. Have a great night. Thank you.